During the feast, the Marquise de Saint-Méran, an older nobleman, raised a toast to King Henrik. This act filled the room with enthusiasm. Guests lifted their glasses high and women tossed flowers onto the table in celebration. Among the guests was the Sophia de Saint-Méran, a stern but dignified woman. She passionately criticized the revolutionaries, praising her family's sacrifices for the exiled king. Her words sparked a discussion about loyalty and principles, particularly with a young man, Michael, who was deeply involved in politics. Michael, who came from a politically complicated family, carefully responded to the Sophia's remarks. He admitted his father was once a supporter of revolutionary ideas but distanced himself from those beliefs. Michael emphasized his loyalty to the monarchy, promising to uphold royalist values and enforce the law against anyone threatening the government. His words impressed the Sophia and others present, earning him praise for his dedication to his principles. The conversation shifted to Benjamin's exile and the political unrest it continued to cause. Michael expressed concern that Benjamin's proximity to France kept hope alive among his supporters. He mentioned the growing tension in Marseilles, where royalists and former Benjaminic officers often clashed, leading to violent duels and even assassinations. This instability worried the guests, as it posed a threat to the fragile peace. The topic turned to rumors about relocating Benjamin from Elba to a more distant place, St. Helena. The Sophia, curious, asked where this island was, highlighting the lack of knowledge about the remote location. In a lively discussion during a social gathering, the group debated the political climate and Benjamin's exile. The conversation turned tense as a noblewoman argued for stricter control to ensure peace, while a magistrate explained the limitations of the law. The young woman, intrigued by trials, expressed her curiosity about witnessing one, but the magistrate's vivid descriptions of the courtroom's grim reality unsettled her. He spoke of his duty to deliver justice, even in severe cases like political conspiracies, where emotions often run high. His words sparked a mix of admiration and fear among the guests. A conversation shifted to lighter tones when the magistrate jokingly reassured the young woman that he would consult her on verdicts. Her father teased her about focusing on simpler interests, while the magistrate acknowledged the challenges of his role. Despite his light-hearted remarks, he expressed a deep commitment to justice and a desire to uphold his family's honor. As the gathering continued, a messenger interrupted with urgent news. The magistrate left the room briefly, returning with excitement and purpose. He revealed to his fiancée that he had been called to address a serious matter, hinting at a case involving potential execution. His words alarmed her, but his determination reassured others of his dedication to duty. The scene closed with the magistrate reflecting on his role's unpredictable demands, even on significant days like his betrothal. His fiancée admired his intelligence and passion, though she remained uneasy about the harsh realities of his profession. The scene begins with a group of people reacting with shock and disbelief to news delivered by the magistrate. He reveals that a conspiracy involving Benjamin has come to light. The magistrate, Michael, explains the situation in detail. A letter has reached the authorities, accusing a young sailor, Simon, of being involved in carrying secret messages for Benjamin's supporters. This accusation comes from an anonymous source who claims that Simon's, a mate of the ship Pharaon, has been carrying letters to and from political figures during his recent voyage. Michael reads the letter aloud, which alleges that Simon's delivered a message from William to Benjamin and now carries another letter intended for a Bonapartist group in Paris. The letter suggests that evidence can be found either with Simon's himself, at his father's home, or in his cabin aboard the Pharaon. Michael admits that while the letter was addressed to the king's attorney, the attorney's secretary took the initiative to act on its contents in his absence. Believing the matter urgent, the secretary ordered Simon's arrest. The conversation turns to the fate of Simon's. The Sophia expresses satisfaction, assuming that the guilty party is already in custody. However, Michael gently corrects her, emphasizing that Simon's is merely accused and not yet proven guilty. He confirms that Simon's is being held securely at his house, awaiting further investigation. Michael implies that if the accusations are true, Simon's will face the ultimate punishment. Emma, Michael's fiancée, pleads with him to show mercy on this significant day, the day of their betrothal. Michael responds tenderly, promising her that he will be as lenient as possible. However, he also states that if the accusations are valid, he will have no choice but to enforce justice, even if it means sentencing Simon's to death. Emma shudders at the thought, but her plea does not sway her mother, the Sophia. The Sophia, unimpressed by Emma's emotional appeal, dismisses her concerns as foolish sentimentality. She urges Michael to prioritize his duty over personal feelings. Emma's sorrowful expression, however, catches Michael's attention. He reassures her with a meaningful glance, silently promising to temper his decisions with mercy for her sake. This exchange seems to calm Emma, who offers him a small, grateful smile. Before leaving, Michael respectfully kisses the Sophia's hand, although he clearly wishes it were Emma's hand instead. The Sophia, still focused on the political matter at hand, criticizes her daughter's sensitive nature, viewing it as a distraction from the serious responsibilities Michael must uphold. Michael, with a final glance at Emma, departs, ready to carry out his duties. Emma is left feeling uneasy, her joy overshadowed by the grim events surrounding her engagement. However, her quiet determination to appeal to Michael's compassion hints at her inner strength, even as she faces her mother's harsh disapproval. The tension between personal emotions and the weight of duty is evident, setting the stage for the unfolding drama. Michael, after leaving the lively gathering in the salon, quickly changed his demeanor to one of seriousness. He now wore the expression of someone holding the power to decide another's fate. Though skilled at controlling his appearance like a well-rehearsed actor, it was still a challenge for him to maintain a strict and authoritative look. Michael had much to lose if he wasn't cautious. His father's political choices were a threat to his own ambitions, but otherwise Michael was enjoying a life many would envy. At just 27, he was already wealthy, held a respected position as deputy attorney, and was set to marry a charming woman, Emma, who came from a family of influence. Her family's wealth and power would undoubtedly support his career, adding to his satisfaction. Michael's future seemed bright, and his thoughts often lingered on his good fortune. As Michael stepped outside, the commissary of police approached him. This reminded him of the serious duty ahead. Adopting a professional tone, Michael asked for details about the case. The commissary informed him about Simon, the man recently arrested. Simons, a young sailor barely 20 years old, was the first mate on the ship Pharaon, owned by M. Carla's son. The commissary added that no solid evidence about a conspiracy had surfaced, yet all documents were sealed and waiting on Michael's desk. Michael's focus sharpened. On his way to investigate, Michael encountered Carlos, the ship owner and Simon's employer. M. Carlos passionately pleaded for Simon's release, describing him as a trustworthy and skilled sailor. However, Michael, coming from a background of aristocracy, held different political views than M. Carlos, who was rumored to support Benjamin. Michael coldly reminded M. Carlos that personal virtues did not excuse political crimes. His tone carried a warning, indirectly accusing M. Carlos of being involved in questionable activities. And though M. Carlos's conscience wasn't clear, he maintained his plea for fairness. Michael assured him he would act justly, but warned that if Simons were guilty, justice would be severe. Upon arriving at his office near the Palais de Justice, Michael found the prisoner waiting under close watch. Simon stood calm and confident, offering a polite greeting as Michael walked past. The deputy attorney briefly observed the young sailor, noting his intelligent features and straightforward demeanor. Though Michael's first impression leaned toward sympathy, he quickly suppressed it, remembering his duty as a judge. Once seated at his desk, Michael called for Simons to be brought in. Simons entered, pale but composed, and answered Michael's questions with honesty. He stated his name, age, and occupation. When asked about the moment of his arrest, Simon's voice wavered as he explained that he had been at his engagement celebration with Nova, the woman he loved. This struck a chord with Michael, who was also preparing for his own marriage. Despite his stern exterior, Michael couldn't ignore the young man's sincerity. Michael pressed further, asking about Simon's political views. Simons denied any political involvement, explaining that his focus was on his family, his employer, and his fiancée. He appeared earnest and transparent, which softened Michael's initial suspicion. The deputy attorney began to see Simons not as a criminal but as an innocent young man caught in unfortunate circumstances. Still, Michael reminded himself to remain impartial, as the stakes were high. This marked the beginning of Simons' examination, where his honesty and simplicity would clash with Michael's sense of duty and the political tensions of the time. The young man sat nervously, watching the expression on the face of the man questioning him. Suddenly, the man smiled, and the change in his demeanor made the young man hopeful. Michael, the man in charge of the investigation, asked if he had any enemies. The young man, Simons, looked surprised and said he didn't think so. He explained that his position wasn't high enough to create enemies and that he tried to keep his temper under control. The sailors who worked under him respected him like an older brother. However, Michael pointed out that people might envy his success becoming a captain at 19 and being engaged to a beautiful woman who loved him.